And for those of you who aren't familiar with the case, if that's even possible, here is my next guest, Mr. Tony Don Ranello. Mr. Don Ranello.
Call me Tony.
All right. Tony, let's start with the obvious. Don't you think it's a little suspicious that your fifth wife has also suddenly disappeared into thin air?
Yeah, well, first, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank my 115,000 Facebook followers. And for everybody who has purchased the Have You Seen Irene t-shirt, the buttons, the bumper stickers, the fanny packs. And, you know, if it wasn't for all your heartfelt comments and words of encouragement, I could have never endured these false accusations, the innuendos, the strong-arm tactics by the police.
Trying to clear his name is very expensive since the police made their insinuations. So thank you so very much for supporting this just cause.
And yeah, now back to your question. Yes, I will admit it. I have some issues. Yes, over some time I can become annoying to some people. You know, Irene wasn't the first woman who wrote me a note saying, and I quote to you, "I'm going to get away from you as far as I can, and believe me, expletive deleted, going to another state isn't far enough."
So if that were the case, why wouldn't she take her clothes or her car?
Oh, well, she goes on in the note to say she wanted to start a whole new life, so I don't...
Without telling her family or friends?
Whatever the media might say, she hated them. Hey, you know, truth be known, she married me to get away from those people.
So her being a potential murder victim has been on the national news for weeks now, right? If she were alive, wouldn't she have come forward by now?
As any married man will tell you, if your wife got really pissed at you and saw the cops hauling his ass off on TV in cuffs, do you think she'd call the police right away when she was really hiding out? No. They would tell you that your wife would want you to rot in prison for a few months or even years first.
That's right. I wouldn't doubt if she's in the woods of Colorado or Mexico, maybe even. My other four wives.
All because this poor man refused to go into even further credit card debts to buy that new living room set she demanded.
It's lies! Lies! It's all lies! I'm Irene's mother. And she was a kind and loving person.
See, Irene,
just ask anyone!
This is what you are doing to your poor family.
I knew from the first time that I saw this monster that he was pure evil, just like my first
Now,
husband.
this case has brought to my attention the plight of these poor families whose loved ones have gone missing like this poor woman.
Give 115,000 likes when you've only given my family 2,644.
I'd also like to take this opportunity to introduce this website I designed to help these poor families in need. Won't you please consider contributing?
Okay, let's bring the state's attorney into the discussion. Mr. Carney, do you have anything you'd like to add to this point?
First, Misty, I'd like to say that the police are leaving no stone unturned during the investigation of this case.
I'd like to point out that because he does not have enough evidence to even arrest my client, let alone get a conviction, he has to resort to this, trying this case in the court of public opinion where the rules of evidence do not apply.
But be assured, my office is doing everything it can to make sure we uncover the truth in this matter.
And this is why my client has no choice but to work the talk show circuit to counter his relentless PR campaign to not only poison the jury pool, but to manufacture the highly sensational trial he needs to run for governor.
I am not running for higher office, and I do everything I can to avoid the media. But I can't go to the John in the courthouse without the men and women of the media following me, pestering me about this trial.
I have a question for the state's attorney. Why did your office rule there was no foul play in the previous 4 disappearances?
Unfortunately, because of the ongoing trial, I can't comment on that right now. But unlike the defense, who will say anything to the media, I have to stick to the truth.
Don't worry, I'll get a straight answer to that when I cross-examine him during the trial.
All right, why don't you tell everyone your name?
Be glad to. My name is Shaina, and I'm the founder of womenforjustice.org, a social network that thousands of us use to investigate domestic crimes against women, like this one.
Mr. Dan Ranello, as is stated on our website, a noted psychologist said that your psychological profile matches that of 100 wife killers she researched for her best-selling book, Can You Really Trust Your Husband?
Inadmissible. If I cannot cross-examine this witness, it can't be entered in the record. You edit that out before the broadcast.
Did you or did you not say at a press conference on your lawn a month ago that the night Irene disappeared, you were playing poker with your buddies? What? Before you answer that, you should know we checked with each and every one of your male Facebook friends, and none of them can back up your story.
No, I was playing online. I don't know. I don't even know where those guys are. If I could find them, they'd testify for me.
See, I'd like to enter the following exhibit into evidence. It's a series of emails to Mr. Dan Ranello's lawyer, who answered an AdSense ad for a phony company that I set up, a reputation management company whose ads began appearing all over his web pages after he took Mr. Dan Ranello's case.
Discovery means that I have to be given any potential evidence before my client even agrees to go on the show.
And you'll see in the exhibit that it includes emails from Mr. Dan Ranello's lawyer as well as from Mr. Dan Ranello himself, responding to over 100 items that we found on the web that conflict with his story.
Objection. On the bottom of my emails, it clearly states they are copyrighted and cannot be reprinted in any other media without my express written permission.
I'll allow it.
Like all those photos of him on various people's Facebook pages, showing him partying down in a bar the very day after Irene disappeared, on a day that Mr. Dan Ranello told the police that he was too grief-stricken to even get out of bed. And on page 69, you'll see highlighted in yellow a copy of an invoice for the purchase of the Forger's Word Processor app. An app that breaks down samples of people's handwriting into fonts so that anyone can write anything in anyone's handwriting. An app that the Department of Justice tried unsuccessfully to ban. And you'll see on the invoice that Mr. Dan Ranello bought this app 3 weeks before Irene disappeared.
Freedom of speech does not give people the right to create a phony company and use it against my client. She should be on trial here for fraud, not us.
Oh, and on page 80, you'll see a story we paid to put up on Mr. Dan Ranello's Facebook page.
Because of this outrageous tampering with the jury pool, I have no recourse except to request a change of venue to Samoa so that we can get a fair trial.
The article claims that the police were bringing in a new technology that could sense the smell of a decaying body no matter how deep it had been buried. And in the accompanying video, the woman said that oddly enough, the only thing that could foil it was tomato juice. And so, on pages 97 to 207, you'll see all the camera phone photos taken by hundreds of Women for Justice volunteers as they tracked Mr. Dan Ranello from that supermarket there where he bought all the tomato juice they had to that house being built there. And in this video, you will see Mr. Dan Ranello pouring all that tomato juice around the foundation on the west side of the house.
We want our money back now! Yeah! What this man said!
Anthony Don Ranello, it gives me great pleasure to say that you are under arrest. You have the right to remain silent, and anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law.
Get Tony Off Scot-Free is an interactive game where you, a worldwide audience, can not only watch the trial of the state versus Anthony Don Ranello, but for only $50, participate in it as well. Come up with the winning argument that gets my client off, and you will win $1 million. And to you book publishers and movie producers out there, have I got a deal for you. In the small print of my agreement to take this case, Tony signed over exclusive rights to his story to me. Call me.
Guys, I apologize for this, but I'm being forced to say this. Ladies, I do not want to make light of Tony's crimes, but the fact of the matter is there needs to be an online justice system where men can be indicted and convicted for crimes of the heart, not making romantic relationships as incredible as you ladies desperately need them to be. So, in the comments section, first tell us if you're going to volunteer to be a local organizer for Shaina's organization in your zip code. And second, list all the crimes that you think you should be able to get arrest warrants for, as well as what you think should be the appropriate punishments for said crimes. And for all you other ladies, if you got a notice to appear for an online jury in your zip code, what kinds of trials are you positive you'd be a neutral party on?